So in this film's story, my character will be Mary Shah. I used to show a puppet show. In the beginning of the story, we see a couple. One of their husbands' names was Jimmy. At that time, the doorbell of their house rings. When Jimmy went and saw that there was a big box outside, he brought him inside. When he opens the box, a doll puppet comes out. A man of such a puppet shows and speaks himself, but he doesn't bring his lips, he makes the puppet move. That's why the audience felt that everything was said by the puppet. When Jimmy's wife saw the puppet, she was very happy. Jimmy had gone out to get food, and his wife was alone at home. She put the puppet on the bed, but her balance was getting bad. That's why she put him on the bed and went to get a pillow. But when she turns back and sees the puppet looking at her, she realizes that when she put the puppet on the bed, his face was on the other side. But Jimmy's wife doesn't take it seriously. She took out a white cloth, put the puppet on the bed, and left the room. After that, when she went to her room, she realized that there was someone in the room other than the puppet. Strange noises were coming from the radio. The ticking of the clock also stops. Also, the kettle on the gas stove, on which tea was being made, stopped making a sound. That's when Jimmy's wife hears a child's laughter when she goes to the room where she had kept the puppet. As soon as she removes her white cloth that was wrapped around her, some dark force picks up Jimmy's wife and throws her near the door. And when she is trying to run, she realizes that there is someone behind her. Some unknown force pulls her feet into the room. We can only hear the screams of Jimmy's wife. Jimmy had also returned home. He calls his wife, so she tells him that I am in the room. When he goes to the door of the room where there was blood, he calls his wife again. Where are you? Then he hears his wife's voice. I am inside. Now when he goes to that room, he picks up the white cloth that his wife had put on the puppet. There was his wife's dead body, whose tongue was cut. The police also came and arrested Jimmy and took him because they suspected that he had killed his wife, but they did not get any evidence against him. That's why the police leave Jimmy. He was very upset because of his wife's death. That's why now he searches the same box, in which there was a puppet. He finds a name written, which was Mary Shah, which I am, and my story starts here. When Jimmy read about me, he found out that I live in his hometown, I live in his city. That's why he came to his dad's house to find out about me. When he reaches there, a very beautiful girl opens the door. Who told Jimmy about her? She says she is his dad's second wife. She says her name is Ella. Actually, Jimmy did not know anything about this because he never talked to his dad. When Jimmy went inside and saw his dad, he was sitting on the wheelchair. Jimmy did not know anything about this. His dad told him that I had a heart attack a while ago, but now I am absolutely fine, and now I do not even get angry. You can live here with me. Jimmy asks his dad about me, so his dad answered him, what will you do by knowing? These are old stories. Forget about all this. When Jimmy was sleeping at night, my puppet sat in front of him. I called him when he looked at my puppet. His eyes were shaking, and a very scary face came in front of him, which was obviously mine. Poor Jimmy got scared and lit up the room. Then, when he saw I had left from there, the next day, Jimmy goes to the graveyard for his wife's funeral. When he was coming back, he saw an old woman on the way. When he started going to her, that old woman came in front of him. She said that your wife was killed by Marisha. That means she was talking about me. Jimmy says, what? Who killed her? That woman also told Jimmy the way to kill me. If he wants to kill me, then he will have to bury my puppet. Then the woman's husband came there, who used to work in that graveyard, and took him back with him. Jimmy went home and saw my puppet. He went to the graveyard with my puppet. Where he saw a grave, he opened that grave and buried my puppet. When he started going back, he felt that there was someone around him. When he got out of the car and saw there was no one there, I was just scaring him. Anyway, he buried my puppet and came back home. When he was taking a bath, he saw that my puppet was sitting in front of him. Poor Jimmy got scared seeing that, but I brought that puppet there. A police officer brought him in who was investigating Jimmy's wife's case. He told Jimmy that I think this puppet can help us in your wife's case because, when your wife was murdered, only this was present in your house. But why did you bury it? Jimmy says that I buried it because it is Marisha's puppet. Here Jimmy tells my story. He heard that Marisha was buried with his puppet. Her soul is still in this world. Whenever she sees someone who got scared seeing her, he shouts. She even cuts his tongue. The night my wife was murdered, someone sent this puppet to our house. Then you must have come to know that Marisha is so dangerous. A police officer picked up my puppet and went to Jimmy. But Jimmy again took my puppet from the police officer and again went to the graveyard to bury it. There he also met that woman who told him about me. That's when that woman's husband came there and took Jimmy with him. He also told Jimmy the whole story about me. So it happened that a very grand theater was opened in his city, where I used to do puppet shows. One day when I was doing the show, a kid accused me that I said what my puppet said. My puppet was fake. I was very angry about it, although I made fun of it. But after a few days, that kid disappeared and was nowhere to be found. That kid's family thought that I killed him, but it was not like that. Still, that kid's family caught me. That man also told Jimmy about me, that I had made a rule before I died that the 101 puppets I made should be buried with me. He also told me that I also wanted to be a puppet, and after my body died, it was made like that. After knowing all my story, Jimmy went away from there but left my puppet there. After a while, that old man heard a voice.